Hi everyone, so in this pick a card reading, I am showing you 3 different piles that I've picked out, and I want you to meditate and pick which one you feel most called to. If you're called to several, then that's fine as well. I'm doing this particular video a little bit differently, and I'll probably be doing some more of them in the future this way. So what I did is I meditated, and for each pile I've picked a particular place and time that I felt compelled to record a video that really encapsulates your energy for your future self, and I've added that into here. You can go to the links below that will give you the extended version of those videos in case you want to meditate with it, or you want to look for any signs or synchronicities in that particular video. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll show you the 3 piles and pick whichever one resonates most with you. Pile number 1, so the 2 cards that I chose for you is Purity and Focus. And what your future self is saying is you're going to be going through a spiritual awakening unlike anything that you've ever experienced before. It feels very mystical and a very special opportunity to spend with divine, where you're gaining a lot of wisdom or experience. It honestly feels kind of like the divine in some way, or some sort of elevated being is going to be connecting to you and taking your consciousness, taking you somewhere and revealing something to you. And your future self is reminding you that the divine is always with you, and that this spiritual awakening is going to completely transform the way that you see the world and the way that you see your life. There are going to be people watching you change. And the way that you change is you're gonna start pursuing a particular dream that you've had, or a goal that you've had. It actually feels more like a new goal, or if you had a goal from the past, then you're refining it. And your future self is saying that there are going to be people watching you do this, but you're not going to notice. You're not going to notice that people are going to be observing you. You're not going to notice that people are seeing you change, seeing you evolve, because you're going to be so absorbed in what you're doing, because it's going to be very important to your soul's growth, your soul's mission. Your energy feels very fierce, feels very confident. Your future self is saying that where you're at now, you can feel there's a step up, there's a level up, and that's pointing to your intuition that this energy is coming in to help you on your spiritual transcendence into the higher realms, you communicating with the higher realms. And they want you to know to not be frightened when it happens. I'm seeing the color green a lot. And it's pointing me to Raphael, Archangel Raphael. And they're saying that it's going to be breathing new life into you. You're going to be fresh and purified and cleansed. Your spirit is going to be elevating. It feels like holy healing and redemption and self-empowerment and forgiveness, all coming from you taking your future self is saying that the reason why you take this initiative to forgive yourself for your past and to forgive others is because you're going to start feeling different. Like something's just going to feel different. You're not going to be able to pinpoint it. And you're just going to start feeling your consciousness elevating, your vibration rising. And as this happens, you're going to have this spiritual moment where some energy from the angelic realm, the heavenly realms, is going to heal you. And they're going to communicate some message to you about the world, about the truths of this world, or about the truths of why you're here, what you're meant to be doing, and why, it feels like why everyone's here. It's kind of what it feels like. It's like, they're saying that what's going to happen is you're going to get this weird feeling that's going to last for a while, maybe days to weeks, and it'll keep getting stronger and stronger. And then you're going to have this spiritual experience. And after that, the way that you see the world, it's like your past and everything that held you back mentally or spiritually, you know, anything that was exhausting to you just melts away. And you stay so focused. It really feels like if someone just turned into a Buddhist, you know, or someone just decides to be a nun. You know, it's very much a private experience between you and spirit, and it's a private relationship with you and spirit that you continue on. And you're either focusing all your attention and energy on this one thing, or you're putting most of your efforts towards this thing, this goal, and you're seeing results. It feels like you're going to be a completely different person. Your future self is saying you're completely different than who you are at the time of you watching the video. But the thing about it is that what's happening is you're at a more pure form of who you are. So you're purifying yourself. And then your future self is kind of correcting me in some ways and saying that it's the angelic realms, it's the holy realms, it's these energies that are helping heal you. It's like they're putting blessings on you. They're blessing your spirit. They're cleansing your spirit. It's like becoming baptized. You're becoming baptized. There's a very mystical element to this. It feels like your future self is pointing you towards being a mystic and being someone who is deeply spiritual and deeply entrenched in the deeper meanings of life, the deeper meanings of why we're here. And your future self is pointing out how what really changed is your perception on this reality. That's what changed. And they're saying that by you changing your perception, that's helping you see the truth of everything. That's helping you be able to also discern between people who are not looking out for your best interest. Because it feels like a lot of creative force coming from you. It's like taking what you've created and taking what you've nurtured and then putting energy behind it. Like moving energy. You're an energy mover. You're moving this powerful energy from the heavenly realms and bringing it to this earth and moving it. It feels like as you are cleansed, you are cleansing others. You're cleansing others whether they're aware of it or not. It's like your energy cleansing. People don't know why you changed. Your future self is pointing out that it just occurs. And these people, I'll say energetic vampires and just negative people around you who have been gravitating towards your light, you just let them melt away, let them fall away, and without an explanation, and just completely cut everything out. And it feels very purposeful, the way that you're doing this. It's very purposeful. Again, it's this feeling of deep commitment. Or if you're decide to do a meditative practice and you get very serious about it. It's like that. It's like very, very serious what you're doing that is connecting you to the spiritual realm or your religion or something that is going to be very heavenly and fulfilling, spiritually fulfilling and soulful and cleansing, spiritually cleansing. And this is guided by divine, and your future self is saying that what happens, this spiritual transcendence, is so powerful that not even the clouds could cover this light. It would shine right through. There's no avoiding this experience that you're gonna have, because your soul is calling out for this. It's just this feeling of when you start doing this, you just know it's the right thing to do. Like, you just know you're supposed to go to this area. You just know you're supposed to do certain things. You just know you're supposed to let certain things go. And it feels like you start charging ahead, very adventurous. It's this feeling of with each step, it's a deeper connection to spirit. It's one step closer to spirit. It's one step closer above. And all the discomfort to get there is a challenge or a test to say, are you really committed? Is this really important to you? Is this something that you really want? Can you resist your worldly or your physical responses to meditate and to focus on what it is that you want, right? It's like it's kind of giving me this image of like meditating, like a very still meditation, and that commitment, or like walking on coals. We'll use that one, where you're walking on coals and you have to really get into that deep trance in order to walk across it. And that's the energy that I'm seeing your future self is pointing you towards what you're walking through, what you're becoming. And they're showing me the Devil card, and they're showing me how there are people currently in your life that are represented as the Devil card, and how they basically, with the Devil, how it creates problems where there aren't any problems, and then it creates a solution to the problem that wasn't a problem that it created. And from creating the solution to the problem, that's how this Devil seduces you into its wrath. And it feels like there are people surrounding you, and maybe even personal habits surrounding you, that are creating issues that don't need to be created, that don't exist. And when you go through this, actually it's prior to you going through this mystical opportunity, you will already start not resonating, not vibrating with these things or people, and it won't make sense to these other people or energies of you just not giving it any attention, not giving it any more time or explanation, because they don't deserve your explanation. To be intentionally mistreating you, intentionally misguiding you, intentionally manipulating you, or attempting to manipulate you. you just not paying it any attention at all, just moving forward, moving on. And then you're going to have this big breaking point. And for those of you who say, well, I've already had my spiritual expansion, it's like, well, you're going to have an even bigger one, another one, right? And you can relate that to how transformative that was for you when you had that last one, or however many, right? And it's going to do it again. It's going to be even more powerful. You're just becoming a more evolved soul, a more aware and pure soul, right? In the sense of really seeing the truth of everything, they're showing me seeing the whole of something, right? Like, you can look at the seeds of a pomegranate and identify the seed as being whole. But when you put the pomegranate seeds all together, then you can see how all of that works together, right? And that's what I'm seeing with you. So you're seeing how everything works together fluidly, and it feels like you're actually tying in numerology to this, or you're tying in astrology or astronomy, sound vibrations. It's something where you're getting this information and they're showing you how everything works together to create something bigger, and then more expansive from there, and so on and so on. It's like seeing the seed of a pomegranate, and then seeing the entire pomegranate, then seeing the tree, and then seeing the tree amongst the forest. You know, it's like more and more and more and more and more. You're just going to see, your future self is saying, you're just going to see more and more results with what it is that your soul is really adamant on pursuing. Because it feels beyond even your own conscious awareness currently. It feels beyond that. It feels like your highest self, not even your higher self. It's like higher above that. Like really your truest, purest form, your soul is dictating this. They're coinciding, they're working with these other energies to create this opportunity for you to become more in alignment with the whole truth, the whole reality here. Okay, so that's what I see for you guys, and I'll see you later. Bye. Hi, pile number 2. So I want you to really pay attention to the video that I chose for you, because if you notice, now when I put it with this recording, I'm turning the volume down, and so please go to that video, because I want you to notice how loud the birds actually are. And even the rain is a lot louder than what it felt like in person. And I feel this is indicative of what your future self is really trying to highlight to you about your energy and about who you've always been, which is you're a lot more vibrant and loud and attention grabbing than you realize. And I mean this in the best way possible, because it feels like you don't quite grasp currently how radiant you are, how special you are, how unique you are, how creative you are, how beautiful you are, how smart you are. Like, all these qualities, even if you believe this about yourself, it's like you still have some sort of humble block on just the degree, the magnitude of which you are these things. And your future self has come into that realization because of a releasing energy that I'm getting for you. And they're also pointing out the birds. It's very important that you listen to the birds, or you observe the birds in the video, because there should be a bird, whether it's a bird sound or the bird itself or the mannerisms of the bird, that is going to be synchronistic for you either now or in the near future. And that's just an additional sign from your future self to say that you're on the right path, you're doing the right things, you're letting go of the things that you know you're supposed to, and that you should, and that you want to. Okay, you're group number 2. I recorded your video on January 22nd. And when I looked at my phone that day after I was done recording, it was 2:22. And my phone battery percentage was 22. And I'm getting a lot of numbers right now in my head that are divisible by 2. I'm seeing 24 and a lot of even numbers. And they're showing me this in the sense of amplification. Your energy is amplifying as you release things from your life that you know are holding you back. And it feels a lot like you willingly doing this. Where you're currently at right now, it depends basically on, it's different for everyone, but I'll say this, where I see your future self pointing you out with the differences of where you're at now versus then, is you willingly detoxifying your entire house, whether this is your physical house, your body, or like the physical world, your actual house, or the things that you carry with you. You're willingly doing this. It's not something that is forced upon you. You are willingly doing this. It's a feeling of almost like donating. And they're doubling that message when we talk about the amplification. They're doubling that message of donation in the sense that you're also donating in the future your skills. So whether this is an actual skill set that you have that you're donating your time towards, you're donating your energy towards something that's meaningful for you. Like you're going to homeless shelters or animal shelters, or whatever you feel is important to you in the future or even now. You could be just donating goodness, right? Like when you go out and you are just going about your day and your chores and errands, and you feel prompted to pay it forward for someone, or just smile at someone, or engage in conversation with a stranger. These things, safely, of course, but these things are ways in which your future self is pointing out you donating what you're good at. And I just feel this radiant, beautiful energy where what you're not seeing right now, the card I picked for you is Thrive and Release. And the way I'm seeing this is you're very much the backbone of the ecosystem in a way that people don't even fully appreciate or recognize if they're not within your field, if that makes sense. So whether this is your skill set, if we're talking about your career, also just at face value, it's like people who aren't really perceptive, naturally perceptive, they take you at face value, and it feels like it's still a good thing. That's the thing about it, is I think people hold you in such high regard, and yet there's more to you. It's like this is what I'm kind of seeing, is like you're this beautiful figure, and yet you have so much depth and artistic talent, and you're trying to project that, like, look at all these wonderful things that I'm interested in, look at how talented I am, look at what I'm passionate about, and everyone's like, yeah, you are so beautiful. It's like, okay, great, I'm beautiful, but what about all of this? And they're like, yeah, just keep talking because I love the way that you look when you talk. And so it's that feeling of almost this feeling of like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, how do I get this across? Like, am I not important, or are these things not important enough for people? Like, it kind of messes with your self-esteem or your self-worth in some ways. I don't feel that I don't know, it doesn't really feel as extreme, like to the pits of despair, pits of depression. It could be, or it could have been at one point. Your future self is saying that you're past all of this anyway. Irregardless, no matter what the degree of severity is, you're past it. And I see you as a butterfly, and like, imagine okay, they're showing me multiple things. They're showing me the marsh, the example of the video that I recorded, which I still need to get into more detail about that particular recording. But they're also showing me a butterfly, and it's the same color scheme as the marshlands. And they're saying, do you see how it looks dead? Like, the grasses are not green and lush, and past those marshlands, because it's a salt marsh, so it's technically, I believe it's a wetland, so beyond that's the ocean, right? So that's brackish water that's in that marsh, and then if you look past it, you can see the breaking by the tree lines of the ocean. And there were people that morning walking, and they're pointing out how it was maybe one group of people. I don't know if there are any more that day, because it was a rainy day. And they're saying how you can look at this video that I recorded of the marshes in two different ways, because that's kind of the progress of you, and how the impact that you leave on people. So when you're looking at the video, you can look at it as comforting, you can look at it as soothing, you can look at it as safe, the safety of wherever you're watching the video. Or even when I was recording it, I brought my friend with me to eat lunch and we just sat in the car and recorded from the car, and so it was very comfortable. It was a very comfortable experience. And yet if you think about the survival of those species that are there, all those birds and crabs, and even if you think about hundreds of years ago, how dangerous that area would be. That area should have crocodiles. I don't know if it does. It probably does. But it's a potentially dangerous area. And yet, through the work of people over time, it became a more civilized and safe area, right? And that's what I see you are doing. It's you're a leader. You're creating a future that makes people comfortable. You're either creating a deeper family bond, like something that your future self is pointing out is like what you desire is coming for you. The biggest message is we made it. We made it. And they're saying in the darkness there's light. We made it. In the darkness there's light. So what you're going through, the difficulties that you're trekking through, you're remaining optimistic through this. You're remaining faithful through this. And you don't give up on your dreams. You don't give up on this vision that you have. You don't give up on your passions. And you make it. And you create this reality for people where they can feel safe following your lead. They can feel safe in your company. And they're showing me, when I go back to the butterfly, they're bringing me back to the butterfly energy, and how when you look at the marshlands, it looks like it's desolate, or at least the grasses are fading, and you coming through and pollinating it. Like that's what it needs, is this one particular butterfly, this special butterfly to pollinate those grasses, and that's you. And it goes back to this, it's an additional energy that's very, it's kind of like somehow it all blends together to create who you are, and some of the frustrations that you may be feeling currently that in the future are less prevalent because you've come into this self-acceptance. And the self-acceptance comes through this self-actualization that you are special, and that there is a particular point in your life currently and in the past where you've been comparing yourself to other people in the sense of, well, I'm passionate about these things, I'm aware of these things, I'm intelligent, I'm talented, all of these qualities, and yet people are focused on my beauty, or people are focused on something else about me, right? So how do I bridge that gap? Like, is there a defect in what I am doing or what I believe? And what you're going to come to realize is that in some ways you ended up through that insecurity, started comparing to other people of how did they get their following, or how did they get people to pay attention to their passions, or how did they get people to like accept their job offers, or like things like that, or get into a relationship, whatever it is for you. Like, how did they do that? And what you are coming to realize, your future self is saying that that's you comparing to someone who, or to groups of people who are meant to be, it's in some ways level with the community. It's like more accessible or more relatable or more understandable. Like there's something about them that's supposed to bridge them closer to the community, and that they can't relate because they can't relate to you or understand you, and they're focused on something that they can, that kind of matches their vibration. Like you're at a different vibration than them. You're at a higher vibration. And so what they are focusing on, and I'm using beauty as an example because I do feel that this is really highlighting your beauty, whether it's your external beauty or internal beauty, but it's like something that's external that they can pinpoint about you, because we operate very much in a visual or physical way, right? And so that's a more relatable way that the majority of people can connect to. And so being a leader means that you are carving that path for people. You are creating a path that doesn't exist. And sometimes it takes people a while to try something different, or to see something different, or to go a different path. And so instead of comparing yourself, that's holding you back currently. That's holding you back. And so part of you releasing is releasing that tendency to try, and you're not lowering your frequency. You're almost trying to dim yourself in some ways, or kind of ignore your frequency, the intensity of your frequency in order to be among us humans. Be among us when you are not of this world. It feels you're very, very different. So yeah, they're also showing me how powerful your intuition is, and they're connecting that to the moon, and they're intensifying the duality again, and the amplification of duality, and how there are connections that you have in your future that are empowering you. It's like doubling up power. It's like you know, teamwork makes dream work. That's why you're like teaming up with people, and it's super, super powerful. It's like once you release that comparison energy, and you start going in the path of whom you truly are, and just kind of being that, embodying that, and focusing on what it is that you're passionate about, and be like, okay, well, you know what, it doesn't matter if no one wants to pay attention, that's fine. And you just keep going, and people, not only are people catching on, but you're not paying attention to whether people catch on or not. You're connecting with your community of people who have gone that same path. They have climbed that same mountain. They have gone through those same hills and valleys, and gotten to the point that you are in their own particular unique journey and their unique skill set, and you're teaming up with them. Like, you really truly find that community. And they're showing me you going through the marshes and going up dunes, and just kind of taking this hermit's retreat, because there are actual hermits that live like out in these areas. And well, I don't know about anymore, but there's like everyone has a famous hermit, I guess, but there's like this famous hermit that had like this castle home or something, I don't know. But I see you just essentially taking that spiritual journey, or that trek, right? And it honestly doesn't feel like intentionally spiritual. It just feels like you following your passions, following your pursuits. And that is, in essence, very spiritual, because you're channeling higher realms, higher energy, and matching what it is that you're meant to be and why you're here. And so you just stumble upon these people, right? Like the universal consciousness, like it starts sending little beams out to these other people, and you connect with them. You just end up in those places because on some level of your consciousness, you guys are communicating and you know, doing it to it, making it work. And so what I see, okay, what I really see here is everything I said, obviously, but why I felt prompted to, and July, your future self is pointing out June and July and Monday. June, July, and Monday. So those are important dates. And then I just saw a number. I don't know if it was 2011 or I saw 2011. Something like that. And it just disappeared really quick. And they're pointing out again, they're like, before you move on, talk about the duality again. So if you're looking for a partnership or deepening of your partnership or something related to that, then that's definitely highlighted by your future self. And they're saying don't give up. Don't give up on self-development, on working on yourself, on taking care of yourself, on recognizing your power. And they're showing me the marsh again, and they're saying, like, look at how it's low tide. And as it's low tide, they're saying, do you see all the birds that come in, and how basically you're the moon in this scenario that I'm saying. You're the moon. You're so powerful. You're pulling the tide out so these birds can find food. They can find nourishment. And then how powerful you are to bring the tide back in. And those ones that survive, those crabs or whatever kind of mollusks are there, those can now grow and they can survive. So it's that balance of the ecosystem. It's like you're the backbone. You're the backbone. In the future, you're really taking on that role of being the backbone of a system, or the backbone of a family, backbone of a company. Like, you are just going at it. You're so good, and you're so like precise and so perfect. That's what I mean. It's so perfect. Like, you finally met your purpose or your goal, or it's like your passion. Like, it's what you're meant to do and who you're meant to be, and surrounded by the people you're supposed to be surrounded by. And they're showing me how there are a lot of wetlands that are getting developed on, and that particular one, just beyond the scope of my video, there's a development, and I was surrounded by development, and how it goes back to that feeling of being underappreciated or misunderstood or unknown, and how there's this part of you that's a saving grace for people. Because even though people kind of use you because of your beauty, just like the marsh, I mean, they built there because it's so beautiful. Those places flood constantly. Those development around there, they're multi-million-dollar homes, and they constantly flood. But they want to be there because it's gorgeous. And it's kind of the essence of you. Is like, people don't necessarily mean to, and a part of them doesn't care because they don't understand, but it's because they do love you, but they just love you from the way that they only know how to love. And so the saving grace comes in because you still do what you're meant to do. The wetlands will always be a wetland. It's gonna constantly flood. The ocean's going to constantly bring the tide. The moon's going to pull that powerful ocean in and out, and the birds are still gonna come if the wetlands are still there, you know. And I feel like you are that preserved place too. There's a part of you that's preserved. And there are people that are going to back your dreams and desires and support you. And people will be able to, they're showing me this other wetlands, and they're connecting me to that as part of your energy, where it's not a wetland, it's a little island that was very populated, and some ornithologists found out, they were just like out enjoying, you know, a boat day, and they found out that there was this colony of birds that heavily relied on this little island, and they ended up winning some sort of award because of it, and now it's protected. And I feel a very strong protective energy from you, very strong protective energy from you, where it's just your natural instinct is to be protective and to be action oriented, and your future self is saying again, like, we made it, we did it. Like, everything that you feel that you are has become so refined and so intense, because you're decluttering even your mind space of, well, what about this, what about that. It's like you have this strong thinking energy where it's like, well, what can I do the most with what I have, the biggest impact with the things that I have? What can I do with that? And what do I really need? What do I really not need? What do I not really even want anymore? Like, who am I, and not who are others? You know, like, this is my journey alone, so I can't compare myself to others. Like, they're on their own journey. This is specifically my journey. And you providing shelter and assistance in your unique ways. And your future self is pointing out the donation energy of feeling like this is actually a gain for you, and that's how you even perceive it. You don't see it as something, again, that you have to do. It's like you want to do it because that's part of you doing the most with what is available to you as your unique self, and that it's a major release and removal, and it's and a choice to give. You want to give, and in that giving, you're gaining so much clarity, so much space, so much freedom, so much energy. It's providing an avenue for you to not hold on to all these burdens, and have that energetic lightness. They're giving me the song Teenage Dirtbag and it's actually it's in a good way. I don't think that you're a teenage dirtbag, or you were. I mean, maybe you were, but the way they're showing me is like how I perceive the song. Like, I just think it's like so fun, and when it came out, I was a kid, I loved the song, and how it's almost this return to playfulness. It's like you being playful and you rediscovering yourself and finding yourself in ways that you hadn't noticed. It's like you realizing what's second nature for you is not the way that others operate. It's not the way others operate. It's like, you know, when you're a teenager, you're finding things out about yourself, and you're creating narratives about the world around you as you try and understand the world and you try and understand yourself. And that's what I see, is like you realizing, oh my gosh, like I actually created this narrative that was still good about yourself, but it was actually a self-limiting belief, because it's like you're not, it's right there, and because it's second nature for you, it's so natural for you, you overlook it. You overlook it and you just assume that other people operate that way, or you just assume like this is the way it is. So you don't see how special that is and how important that is. Like your primal nature is to be adaptable, is to be strong, is to be a leader. And not everyone operates that way. You expand when others shrink. Right? Like you thrive in situations that others may not be able to. You're a survivor. Just like the marsh. Not everyone can survive in that marsh, let alone a salt marsh. Let alone even in the safety of their mansions. Actually, they're not even really mansions, to be honest with you. They're just really expensive homes. Expensive, some of them are mansions, but anyway. Not that it matters, but you are prime real estate. But yeah, that's really what I see, is like your future self is really pointing out, like, listen, you're gonna realize who you really are, and you're just gonna accept it and just be like, all right, you know what, it is what it is. I'm cool, I'm awesome, I'm amazing, I'm so special, and I'm just gonna have to live with that and carve your own path. And for those of you who are decluttering, I do feel like maybe that Teenage Dirtbag song is coming forward to point out, like, you, like, even going through things from your teenage years and kind of reflecting on it or getting rid of it. And it could also be a reconnecting energy with someone who's from your past. But I do see people really being appreciative of your light. Because just as you found the lightness in the dark, you are, they're showing me the marsh, and they're showing me the path, and the more that you carve that path, the more you walk that path, the more open and welcoming it looks. It doesn't look as scary, you know? It's like, well, like, even if they don't necessarily see that you're the one who started it, they can look at it and say, well, it looks like someone was there, you know? And that kind of gives someone the initiative to kind of peek around the corner and say, okay, well, oh, if someone went there, then it might be safe. Like, let me just try. And then the right person who is close to your energy or matches your energy can walk down it, and then, you know, it kind of bridges and bridges and bridges again this path that you've carved, and it's an even wider beam of light in the dark. So your future self is very proud of you, and ultimately your future self is saying, we made it, we did it. All right, so that's what I say for you guys. Bye. Hi, pile number 3. So the 2 cards I have for you are pleasure and leadership. And at the time of me recording this video, oh, I just noticed in leadership there's a little star. At the time of me recording this, and the moon, look at the moon, at the shape of the moon. I'm going to talk about this in a minute. So I have not recorded your video for your energy, what I feel matches your vibe in this reading. And the reason why I have not done it is because I have a specific place, and I went there several days ago, and I tried to record the moon and it looked similar to this, and it was so beautiful the way I recorded it. The moon was sinking down across the horizon and over the dunes, and it was just gorgeous. And then I went and looked at my camera, and I did not film the moon. And not only did I not film the moon, but the camera repositioned itself because the tide was about to take my camera away. And then yesterday, so today's, I don't know, you can look it up if you're really that curious, but yesterday I tried to record again, and I actually picked a star because the moon was covered in clouds when it was actually supposed to be a good day yesterday for stargazing. It was not. Interestingly enough, the moon was at 33 degrees in your group number 3, and I feel like that is a good description for your energy, in the sense that there's this cohesive nature to you, this sensual nature to you, this seductive nature to you, this mysterious nature to you, and your future self is talking about how it's almost this feeling of coming to age. It's this feeling of you really becoming more expressive and seductive and mysterious and captivating, and you saying, like, this is what I want, and then getting it, and this is what I deserve, and getting it, and having, again, this mysterious element about you that really pulls people into your energy and really attracts people to you. Now, why am I so committed to this particular area? And why does this feel like your future self pulling me towards this area? I think maybe I'll go ahead and post this video. Okay, so the one about the star. Okay, so let me tell you the story. So the first one, I didn't get the moon, and it was fine, but again, the camera moved, all this stuff, it was uncomfortable, but it's in a cove. And the cove only exists in this particular way at a particular, several times of the day, right? When the tide is at a certain level, then this cove is created in a specific way. And I wanted this video at the specific way. And so last night, I even told myself, I'm like, check the tide charts before you go out there. And I was just stubborn because I was like, no, it's fine. I'm just going to go out there and do it. And sure enough, it was not the proper tide. And so I walked towards the beach, and I set the camera up, and I recorded, and that's what I got. Here is just whatever is on there. I haven't even put it onto my laptop yet, so it probably just looks like, I don't know, nothing. But you can see, because I sat there for probably like 40 minutes, and you can see, you know, as the earth turns, the stars move, and the moon from the other day. So anyway, I just feel like it's such a mysterious area. And I was actually curious if a lot of people are familiar with this particular cove, because okay, so there's a museum, right? Like a local museum. And I was considering going there to see if they have any information on this, but I can almost guarantee there isn't, only because people don't really value this particular spot for its uniqueness. It's biodiversity. There's a lot of different birds there that come and rest there. you can often find that's like the safe spot for pelicans to sit and rest as well during the day. And I often see starfish and a lot of bird of prey coming to this particular area to go hunting. It's a really gorgeous area, and from what I'm aware of, a lot of ancient history occurs around this particular area. I actually found some fossilized shells there at one point, and I believe at one point George Washington, I'm on to you, George Washington, that's another subject, but he came through that area. So anyways, I just see your future self pulling me towards this particular cove, because it's like you're that sweet spot, you know? It's like sensual, pleasurable, like just this feeling of like openly enjoying and savoring life. And that's your energy. That's your future self pointing me towards that as your energy of just someone who knows how to slow down and appreciate this slower approach, like a very delicious approach. And if I wasn't so manic with trying to get this video, and I really took advice from your future self of just kind of enjoying, which I did when I recorded the stars. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna relax, film, whatever, see how it goes. And this is just an opportunity for me to sit out here and enjoy. And that's what I see here. You're actually teaching people like how I was taught through this. Basically how to do what you do, in the sense of you are showing and teaching people what your needs are and what your wants are by expressing it in a certain way and being able to receive it. And so other people are saying, okay, well, I can take a slower pace too. That's kind of what I'm saying. Or even superficiality, like looking at the superficial layers of things and saying, well, you know what? I don't have to match everyone else's fast-paced living. I can slow down. I can take guidance from pile number 3 and just savor this. And people are really wanting to see what it is that you're manifesting. They want to see what it is that you dream of. They want to know what you're saying. It's like you're expressing yourself. You have so many different sides and theories and thoughts, and people are wanting to know what it is. It's like waiting on bated breath to hear what you have to say. It's like, what does group number 3, what does pile number 3 think about this? What do they feel about this? How do they handle this? Like, what do they think? You feel like a very, I wouldn't say explosive necessarily, but it's just very expressive. It's like that delicate balance between being expressive and manic and being seductive and slow. What's the word that's like, you know, sensual. And it's that blend of both. So you can be this expressive, sensual. It's like Marilyn Monroe. I don't know a masculine version of that, but it's like that. very in tune with your divinity. And intimidating. I feel like this is a very intimidating pile, and it reminds me actually when I went to go film this area last night. It was really dark and there was no one out there, and you have to go like over a mile pretty much off the beaten path to get to this particular spot. And you know, when it's really dark, the stars are so vivid, which again, I don't think it picked up on camera, but the stars are so vivid, and the ocean is so loud, and it just is kind of intimidating sometimes, especially if you're all by yourself. Even though I was strapped, I was still kind of like, oh my goodness, this is really intimidating. But I pushed through, I persevered, and I went out there, and that's what I feel is you, is like people are kind of nervous to approach you. People are nervous to hear your opinions because they hold you up on a pedestal in some ways. They look at you really as the prototype the prototype of how to react and how to be, and what to think. You're their news outlet, and so there are a lot of people watching you and wanting to know more about honestly, it feels like people, your future self, saying like people are just really interested in you, like they're very curious about you. Like it feels like, again, when I go back to Marilyn Monroe, it's like this old school celebrity where there's a lot of mystery. Like it's not like you can't just get online and see, you know, immediately what they've been doing since they've woken up. And they're like constantly posting, you know, information about them, and it's like easily accessible. Like you give a lot of that, a lot to be discovered and to be desired about you, and is just ever unfolding. And it feels like your future self is saying that people are talking about you in a good way. Like they're like, did you see what group number 1 did? Did you see what they said? What do you think about that? You know, like, do you agree? Do you? But it's in a polite way, right? Like they're using your theories or your thoughts or opinions or your style as talking points of like trying to determine how they feel about things or what they want. And for those of you who are currently going through a heartbreak, your future self is saying that that's going to be healed. Or if it feels like a distance for you, group number 3. So it could just be heartbreak because you can't be with your person for some reason, and your future self is saying that that's going to be resolved. You're going to be very satisfied. You're going to feel like your needs are taken care of, and that you're going to get there with them. It feels like your future self is really highlighting your heart and your soul, in the sense that there's a lot of heart healing and soul healing. That comes from you being in the moment. That comes from you being in the moment. You learn to what's the word I'm looking for? Like you learn to perfect presence, like being present in the moment, being grateful for the moment, being aware of the moment. And they're showing me this image of something that happened to me in the past. I don't know if I've ever shared this on here, but one time okay, so long story short, I did something that was really out of character for me as I was driving, and it completely saved my life. I had this like knowing, this inner knowing to just like stop the car. And it was just a really bizarre situation. And they're pointing that out because they're showing me how beautiful of a day it was, and it was actually a holiday. And just they're highlighting how, so I don't know if this is something that's happened to you before and your future self is pointing this out, or if this is gonna happen. And this is not to freak you out, because it's a good outcome, where basically like you listen to yourself, or you listen to this outside source, this angel or whomever is saving you, and you just do it, and then it completely saves you. And like it really put in perspective for me when that happened, that well, I wouldn't be alive, so that would have obviously changed my life. But even if I survived, it would be like a hallmark, right? Like not just a particular day, but it's like a holiday. And even the people surrounding, like how that would affect other people who would witness that. And so, or like who would have been held accountable for it. And so it feels like this feeling of just really being aware and really being present. And I think basically what your future self is saying is that you're going to be okay if anything like that happens, and to just use that as a focal point or like a learning point, like how I did, and where it's like always listen to your intuition, like always listen to that, even if it doesn't quite make sense. What does it hurt to just listen to yourself and really like appreciate life, right? And how you're becoming more refined in that, of being this central savoring type of energy. And your future self is also saying that if that's something that has happened to you already, like don't take that for granted. Like don't take that experience for granted. And there's something about you, your future self is pointing out how you're going to be teaching people to see deeper into themselves and into other people because of your natural vibe. Your natural energy is just calling people in to look more into who they are and others around them, and not really take people at face value. Kind of discover who people really are. And love people for who they are, is what it feels like. And pay attention also to the stars. They're saying like either wish on a star and pay attention to what that wish is, or like if me saying that and you have a wish in mind, your future self is saying pay attention to what that wish is. Or there's something important about the stars. Maybe you are into astronomy, or maybe you're some significance to your zodiac sign, or astrologically look at the calendar, and maybe there's some more information there. It feels like there's something hidden there currently that your future self is pointing you towards, that you're going to discover, because you're gonna be curious about it. Like it'll just come to you and you'll be curious about it, or you'll hear it from someone and you'll look more into it. And in that information, there's gonna be something that leads you to either go somewhere, or it's gonna lead you to go somewhere. It's either actually traveling far, or again, if it's just like a star event or a meteor shower, then you'll go view this meteor shower. And you're just saying pay attention to what it is that you are desiring, because that's going to highlight what it is that you actually want, like your manifestations, right? That's putting you in alignment with, and like becoming even more aware of what it is that you're working towards, because it's just important for you to know that for some reason, just because you're doing it anyway. You're doing it anyway, so maybe that gives you more presence in the moment. Okay, so that's what I see for you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.